originally one, the Absolute, Brahman, comes to be known as threefold, manifesting itself as the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Brahman further expands its potency, and thus the power to act and the power of consciousness become manifest, along with the false ego, which covers the identity of the conditioned living being. Thus, by the expansion of the multi-potencies of the Absolute, the demigods, as the embodiment of knowledge, become manifest along with the material senses, their objects, and the results of material activity, namely happiness and distress. In this way, the manifestation of the material world takes place as a subtle cause and the material effect visible in the appearance of gross material objects. Brahman, which is the source of all subtle and gross manifestations, is simultaneously transcendental to them, being absolute. And that, the last words are quite important. Tayo param, paramyat. It's still param. Okay? I really like the way Ramananda Rai Prabhu yesterday, he said, "Oh my God, this purport is 7 pages. We will start with it and let's see where we go." Because I actually listened to a few classes on this verse, and one devotee read the purport. And then he looked at the watch and said, "Okay, I have 10 minutes more for the class. So if you have any questions, you can start with the questions." Not sure why and who wrote such a long purport. Do you know who? Anybody? Sorry? Well, you see, okay, that's an interesting question. The first volumes of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam were published under the name of Hridayananda Das Goswami, ācāryas, up to 85. And then there was a pause. But according to him and other devotees, they were mainly using the materials produced by Pradyumna in the very beginning, 77. So the half of it is 77. Some of it were written by when Pradyumna left, who remained. And then at some point, Hridayananda Das Goswami joined the team, and I suspect most of it is written by him. I suspect this particular long purports were written by him or his disciples. I would assume. But it's not clear, because in 85 from the 11th canto, the name is removed, and it's as part of the zonal acharya reform thing that it's not his project anymore. I even remember it was the beginning of 90s, and I was near BBT at the time. So he was almost done with the first part of Mahabharata, which was his next project. And then the Australian BBT pulled the plug and said, "Well, yeah, you did something, but we don't have money to print it, and we cannot print so many, so it's too expensive." So it's in any case, it's not very clear who wrote the purport, but it's clear who speaks in this verse. And the purport explains it. In the previous verse, the sage Pipalayana described the absolute Brahman as being beyond the range of material sense perception and mental speculation. And that was a very, very interesting point. Unusual for Bhakti practitioners to stress, and in fact, that absolute is undescribable. And then purport explains. At the same time, it was stated, Atma Moolam Atholkam. The negative instructions of the Vedas indirectly indicate the existence of the absolute truth. It's not exactly existence, but the fact that there are negative or prohibitive statements in the Vedas indicates that there is an authority behind it. It's important. So now in this present verse, it is clearly described that the absolute truth possesses innumerable potencies. Uru Shakti Brahmaiva Bhati. This is the key for, at least for Gauḍīya Vaiṣṇava Siddhanta, is really the key. Uru Shakti, multifaceted energies or Shaktis are different from Brahman. And you could say, who are these people who are speaking this? It's quite important to understand that this is spoken by one of the main sons of Vrishabhadev. In the 5th canto, we heard that there was an incarnation of Godhead, Vrishabhadev, who came in the dynasty of Priyavrata, and then he had many sons, and 10 of his sons were the best, the top and best. And out of 10, the 9 ones are called Nava Yagendras, and they are speaking these. So interesting that the story, one of the ācāryas mentioned that Pipalayana is one of the middle ones. He's not the senior one, not the junior one, but he is definitely an expert on jnana. It's very important to be expert in jnana. For some reason, devotees often give classes, and it's nice, it's very attractive, without reference to the Upanishads, to the jnana ingredient or the aspect of Bhagavatam. But Bhagavatam is wholesome, it's balanced, and has a very large jnana section. We are now in the jnana section of Bhagavatam. And that's why Brahman is described. Of course, if you studied Vedanta, not necessarily Gauḍīya Vaiṣṇava version of it, even if you studied it before Krishna consciousness, you'll be very familiar with the term Brahman or Atman. You will be very familiar with the phrase Brahma Satyam Ananta, Satyam Ananta Brahman. So that's a key for the understanding Brahman. And in the previous verse, it says the same thing that says in many places in Upanishads, that Brahman is actually not only hard to understand for regular souls, but it's also beyond the scope of our description. Sounds like like a deep, almost Mayavadi kind of presentation, isn't it? It's like, we cannot describe it, it's anyaya, we don't know what the Brahman is. But in this case, sage Pipalayana gives a very interesting introduction, and this part of this chapter is not about, and it's called karma. So it's about karma. What it means, karma, what it has to do with karma, we're talking about Brahman, isn't it? So it's completely two different things, Jnana Kanda and Karma Kanda. Why is the most jnanic part of Bhagavatam talks about karma? So this verses, they link the Atma Tattva, the basic knowledge of the soul and super soul, with an interesting process that most of really fortunate advanced devotees here are engaged in. It's a process of deity worship. And you would say, what it has to do with Brahman? It actually has so many things to do with Brahman, you wouldn't believe it. Because Brahman is transcendent. And in many philosophies, including Socratical philosophy and, Neoplatonics in Germany next door, they were all about transcendence of the absolute truth. But here, people are to make it less theoretical and actually connected to Bhakti. Talks about, and this verse is very specific about it, talks about immanence of Brahman. Now, the term immanence, I'm sorry if you're okay with immanence? Yeah, fine. So immanence of Brahman is one of the aspects of Brahman that is not acceptable by those who are subscribing to Mayavada or impersonalist philosophy. They deny spirituality of material elements. So they would deny that matter is spiritual. They would, in a very similar fashion to Dvaitavadis, it's very similar between Tattvavadis and Mayavadis. Are very similar in this aspect. They both will say that Jagat Mrityu and Brahman Satyam. So the truth is in Brahman, and this Jagat is just like, this is all just illusion, or transformation of illusion. This is not the philosophy of Bhagavatam. It's surprising. Surprise, surprise. It's actually not. The philosophy of Bhagavatam, strictly speaking, is about the fact that Maya is one of the many energies of the Lord. In fact, what is listed here are the three main energies, and they're listed twice in this verse. Sattvam, Rajas, Tama. That's clear enough. We know that, isn't it? We know those three. Sattva, goodness, Rajas, and Tamas. Tamas are at least my favorite. I don't know what about you, but it's a really favorite energy of mine. But here they're listed twice. And why is that? That's as actually explained by ācāryas. I'm going to read a little bit of the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti on that. But jnana, in a third line, the beginning of the third line, jnana refers to sattva. That's the energy of the Lord connected to knowledge. So knowing, our process of knowledge, is always in sattva, even if you try to learn something outside of this scope. And kriyartha is also the energy connected with actions, kriya, or doing something. It's rajas, actually. But the energy that covers the jivas, pravadanti jiva. So that energy that covers the jiva, or covers a little particles of Brahman in those elements, which is also Brahman, But it's actually Brahman in a mode of ignorance. It's the destroying knowledge Brahman. Interesting transformation of Brahman. Now, I know, some of you are sleepy. That's a theoretical presumption. It's probably because you were watching football yesterday. I'm just, or maybe somebody in your family were watching football. But I'm trying to make the subject a little lighter. So I will tell you about football a little bit. Don't take it personally. I'm not I'm not saying you have to watch football or you shouldn't watch football, but Belgium lost. But it's not about football actually. It's connected to this. And I heard this example before, so I will just repeat it. I was walking yesterday doing japa, walk on the side of a river, and there I saw crowds of people, and all of them were glued to the screens. Well, like not all of them. Some of them they were from Netherlands. I didn't glue to the screen, but but many people were glued to the screen. And then I was passed through, and I heard a loud explosion of sound. And I looked there and I saw that everybody was raising their hands because there was a goal. That's football. And I walked for another 20 seconds and I saw another explosion of sound in a different corner. I thought that another goal in 20 seconds? That's not possible. But it was, and then I walked for a minute. There was another explosion of sound because they were rejoicing on the goal. And each of them, they were watching the same game. But one of them were watching on the cable, one of them were watching on internet, and others were watching on the satellite. So there was a delay of the original goal being shot. So each of them had an impression. I'm sorry I know nobody plays football in India. I mean, it's cricket, isn't it? But it's not about cricket or football. The fact is that none of these people saw the goal. And all of these people, they actually saw the goal at different times. Because the goal was happening somewhere on a field, and it was actually, in reality, it was somewhere else. It's original. This is the Brahman, the original. But once it's covered by sattva, or is represented by sattva, or shines. This is literal translation from Bhanu Swami. That one Brahman shines as Maya with sattva, rajas, and tamas. So the Brahman is shining in the three modes of nature. This is like really complicated philosophy, you could say, but it's actually very simple. Sattva is manifestation of Brahman, and Rajas is also, and Tamas. They represent him differently. Brahman is not Sattva, Rajas, or Tamas. You could very clearly say that Brahman is not the modes of nature, but in the same time, Brahman is the modes of nature. Now, to illustrate it even a little bit further, who can name the Chaturvyuhi forms of the Lord, or names of the Chaturvyuhi? Remember? Do you remember Chaturvyuhis? Okay, which mantra we chant in the beginning of Bhagavatam? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Who is next? Sankarsana. Who is next? Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So we have Chaturvyuhi. Vasudeva Sattva, or sometimes it's called Vishuddha Sattva, is the mode of Brahman, beyond the three modes. This is actual Brahman. That's original goal. But there are three other Brahmans which are described here. They're all, it's interesting how BBT put it here. I was reading it, it's quite complicated way they put it. Comes to be known as threefold, manifesting itself as the three modes of material nature. So the Brahman comes to be known as threefold. That's one way to put it. And which way is okay? Bhanu Swami, how he translates it? He translates that one Brahman shines as Maya with Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Okay, that's first part of it. And as Sutra, Mahatattva, Ahankara, and powerful energies by taking the form of devatas, senses, sense objects, and material qualities. So basically, pretty much everything that consists in the material world, which has a spiritual counterpart in the spiritual world, is described. Now, you will say, what is this material world has spiritual counterparts? It's actually described in the Bhagavatam. Very interesting aspect of it is that the deities of all the prime elements exist before creation, and they actually exist in Vaikuntha. So I'm trying to somehow clearly emphasize that this, what we call illusion, is our illusion of not being able to see that it's reality. We are in illusion that this material world is actually Brahman. It's a manifestation and modulation of Brahman. It's not it's a dream, it's our dream, but it's not a dream as a mirage. Okay, well, let's read the very technical translation by Bhanu Swami of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. He talks about Svarupa, or nature of Brahman. The Svarupa of Brahman is difficult for people to perceive. That was in the previous verse. But it exists without doubt because all material objects are Brahman, since they are product of Brahman. Now, that's a little, we're going fast. Let's slow down. Is there anything in this world that came from some other place except Brahman or Supreme Absolute Truth? Is there any other cause for this, what we have? Is there any other cause? There is no other cause. So he is the cause of all causes, and all these secondary causes are also him. So what is there that can be material except our inability to see this? So this is actually my inability to see that. But some philosophers, jñānis, very advanced jñānis, we derogatory call them mayavadis, but they would consider that these transformations of Brahman are inconceivable, undescribable illusion that only covers Brahman, which doesn't actually exist. So what is it? Their position is that it's a non-existence of matter that is a production of Brahman. And that doesn't, even in the Western philosophy, it doesn't make sense. How can it that be? Jai. So to clear it up and to make sure it's very, very deeply understood by bhaktas. Krishna, the Supreme Brahman, comes in a Murti form. And then we offer all the material ingredients to him. We offer it because it is Brahman. We don't offer him anything material. He doesn't accept anything material. We don't offer him illusion. We don't offer him, maybe I offer illusion of my bhakti, but in reality, you don't offer him illusion. You offer him reality. The elements, the earth, the fire, the water, the ether. You offer the ingredients which are in the Vedic Yagya or in the puja are the same. The elements of creation you offer to him because he is the Parabrahman. He is the source of every single manifestation of Brahman. Just like this temple room. This temple room is not in a mode of rajas, not in a mode of sattva. It's actually supposed to be Vishuddha Sattva. It is Vishuddha Sattva, it's Balaram manifestation. We should not cover the original. For example, this bell. There was an interesting question about this bell in the emails. So, this bell should not be covered. But if you want to reduce the sound, because you're covering it with something which is made of tamas. Rubber is burned byproducts of biological products. So you cover it, and then the sound is not pure Brahman. So to reduce the sound volume, what you do, you reduce the inner element of the bell. It will still remain a pure element. So the brass is a pure metal. Oh, luckily, if you're wealthy, you'll make it an astadhatu. So it will be all auspicious elements. So when we were making the deities in Mayapur, I still have those sketches somewhere. I drew those deities somewhere in 89 or something. 97. Sorry, 97. So it has to be done with according to Shastra, Manasara, and all those different proportions and all the elements of decoration. Only deity should be according to Shastra. But what it is made of, it's made of pure metal. We use pure metal, purified metal, because purified metal is as close as you get to Vishuddha Sattva. And the sound purified metal makes, if it play kartals, let me show you. Okay. The uncovered sound of kartals. It's very close to Vishuddha Sattva. It goes there. It's very subtle. And that's what we offer the Lord. We offer him the Vishuddha Sattva elements. They're pure, and we even more purify them with holy waters. And we make it extremely, extremely pure. Once it's extremely pure, then it's not three modes of nature that we offer him. But even if there are three modes of nature, there's still manifestation of the same Brahman. We don't. Okay, so let's see what Acharya says. Vishnu Chakravarti quotes Shrutis, same that the BBT workers quote. Shruti says, Brahmai Vedam Sarvam. Everything is Brahman. That's no, even if you're Jnani. And I promise you a lecture on jñāna-yoga, isn't it? So, even Jnanis, they know that everything is Brahman. But they don't practice it. They know it theoretically, but we do know it practically. That's the difference. So that's Brihadaranyaka Purusham. Yasya bhasya sarvam idam vibhati. By the light of Brahman, all things shine. So you could say that the sun rays is emanation from the sun, but behind the sun, there is light, which is universal light. And this universal light is the personal effulgence of Lord's body. So he is not an impersonal, he is shining, and there is a source of light. Now, that one famous Brahman is the form of Maya Shakti, made of Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. So this is what Vishwanath Chakravarti is saying. So the Brahman takes form or in the form of Maya Shakti. They call it Pradhana. So now the list comes up. So the before Mahatattva, anyway, there is a whole. You always say in the beginning there was Mahatattva, but actually before Mahatattva there is Pradhana. and so this original Brahman in the three modes is called Pradhan. Pradhan, literally, it means Pradhan, it means before even the breath, before Mahavishnu makes breath, it's already there. It's ready to go. It's the storage of everything without any interaction. It's primordial matter, you could say. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti explains, as Kriya Shakti or Rajas, it becomes Sutra. And Jnana Shakti, it becomes Mahatattva. Now, Sutra, it's a difficult one. Sutra means short form of things, and it also means a short form of creation, because we, according to our tradition, and it may be different in the West, some people in the West say, no, it's not Sutra, it's the word of God, but it's the same thing. In the beginning, there was Sutra, or word of God. This is the beginning of creation. And then it becomes Mahatattva. It's an interesting, it's a little bit different from the third canto. It gives a slightly different process, mainly to defeat the Mayavada kind of ideas. They also call this covering of the jiva known as aham, as ahankar. Okay, in the verse, word by word, you see the word aham, ahamiti, right? It says, but the ācāryas translate it as ahankar. It's the same thing, because once you have the sense of I, you will have the sense of I am the doer. Aham kara. So you kara, meaning you do. Aham, I do. Of course, we all know that even though you are the doer, you don't do anything alone. There is a teamwork. It's a big thing. It's a very popular thing in the modern management. Nobody should just do it alone. They should have a team. You should be a part of a team. So, but still, people say, "No, I did this," and the boss will correct you. Say, "No, we did it." so, but I did it. I was sitting there all night. I finished it on time. We did it. Our team. But you just came 5 minutes ago. No, we did it. But the essence is, in essence, there is a team. Divine, the modes, the time factor. There is a big team who actually does things. And you cannot do it alone. You're not an independent doer. You think that you are the doer. But in fact, there are three modes of nature. And they are passive, but because they're manifestation of Brahman, they facilitate your actions. That's a little complicated topic, doer, but that's something about it can be discussed later. This becomes devatas, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur stresses it. This is from jnana, or senses, kriya. Now, devatas, or divine beings, they are manifestation of sattva aspect of Brahman, and the senses, our acting senses, because without devatas you cannot act, you cannot blink, you cannot do anything. And senses, kriyas, are also manifestation of an artha, of rajas, and such objects also rajas. Now, it's interesting. I think it Thomas? Okay, sorry. Um, and this combination of Rajas, Tamas, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva is the foundation of our experience of happiness or distress. Without this, we would not be able to experience this. So that's like a design thing. He designed the whole thing. It's very interesting that this is spoken by one of the Nama-Yogendras from the 5th canto to the famous king Nimi from the 9th canto. But we know from the 9th canto that it's a king of Videha. This is happening in Videha. Now, Videha literally means nobody. This is the kingdom, but at the same time, Nimi, out of all the difficulties that happened with him and the curse and turned to curse, he asked for a blessing not to have material body. He was a Raja without the body. So demigods created a special body for him. This is quite an esoteric thing, because it means that he didn't have the gross body. And he was able, because he was not covered by the gross body. Now Yogendras, who were also Jivan Muktas, they were not regular Muktas, they were already liberated, they were in the material world, but fully liberated. And he was in the material world without covering of the body. They could, that's an interesting part, they could discuss Brahman, can't they? I cannot discuss Brahman, really, because I'm covered with material body. My modes will influence on me. I am not nirguna, right? And I'm not, my modes will influence you, You will feel like sleepy if I start talking too much on philosophy. So I will influence you. Isn't it, Giriva Prabhu? If I speak too complicated, it just your mind will force you into sleep. It's just natural. But and then a next level of terminology comes, and it's a really hard one, and that's actually described in the 2nd canto. These powerful energies, by accepting this form, meaning the form of material energy, are called Adbhuta, Adibhuta, Adhyatma, and Adidaiva. So there are the 3 forms of this energy. Of course, we know it's from the sufferings. That's kind of the basic understanding. How are you suffering, Prabhu? It's my body. Okay, Adhyatma. And why are you suffering, Prabhu? Oh, it's my neighbor or my boss or somebody's annoying me. He's telling me what to do. I don't want him to tell me what to do. It's Adbhuta. It's other living entities. But the worst one is, you could say Ajdaiva. That's the suffering that comes from the natural causes. Say, there will be heat of 32 degrees. It's not the end of it. It will be 35. And it's not the end of it. It will be 37. And it comes to 45 if you live in Paris. And then you'll die from heat. This is Adidaiva. It's not beyond your control. It's outside of your control. Adhyatma, the sufferings from your body or the mind, you can control, especially if you practice yoga. You can control your breath, you can control your mind by sleeping not too much, not too little, and diet. It's all Adhyatma. But it's very hard to control Ajideva. But it's not the only. These terms also apply to the reality as we perceive. It's also perceived in 3 different formats. So that's one way to do it, is describing sufferings, but in general, reality also comes under these 3 categories. Um, that from which these powerful energies arise is called Brahman. So there is a root for everything. There is a banyan tree with a root up. And this banyan tree is Brahman. And the source of this Brahman is Krishna. Krishna is Para-Brahman. And that's, we obviously don't talk much about Brahman. It's a rare opportunity to speak about Brahman in the class. We hardly do jnana-yoga, to be honest with you. We don't do that. But it's actually the most effective way to control your senses. Jnana is meant for those who cannot control their senses, surprisingly, because by practice, for young people, it's meant for teenagers, it's meant for school kids in the Gurukul. Once they study jnana, then they control. It's interesting. That was the Vedic process of education. For young people, they would teach them, not maths is good, but jnana is much better. But if you make this jnana personalist jnana, as it is in Bhagavatam, it not only produces discipline, it will produce bhakti. This is an amazing feature of Bhagavatam. When it talks about jnana, our Brahman, it actually, because it's done in a preparation to Uddhava Gita, you come to this, your senses are purified, and then you hear those confidential topics that Krishna said only to Uddhava before departing the world. And then you actually attain bhakti. Uddhava Gita it comes just now, just few chapters. And there is a whole discussion of what is here the sat and asat that's mentioned here. But in a BBT, they translated one way to do it, which is the source of all subtle and gross manifestations. It's actually, they're rephrasing what Sridhar Swami says. It's not actually subtle and gross manifestations. Sat here means material world. We usually say that this world is asat, is temporary. No, here it means its material world is sat, is eternal. It's made from Brahman. And asat here, something which is not yet manifest, but may manifest in the future. So it's not yet manifested. In this material world, there are things which are in the pipeline, but not yet manifested. And they are, you cannot say they exist. This material world is existence. Existence, it's actual reality. It's real. We are in a dream of our position in this world. But this world is a real thing. It's a dream of Mahavishnu, but it's a real and a manifestation of Brahman. But some things are not yet manifest. For example, the numbers of ācāryas in the end of Kali Yuga, they're not yet manifest. They will come back later. And you will see what will happen with this. In this case, it is still asat. It will become sat, and then sat will come and take care of the sat. Because Supreme Lord cannot touch and cannot be touched by anything which is matter. He cannot be touched by Maya. He's beyond Maya. So it means, beyond other explanations, that those who touch the lotus feet of Lord Gopinath are beyond Maya. That transcendental souls, most fortunate devotees who have this opportunity to touch the lotus feet of Supreme Brahman. And don't think that any paraphernalia on the altar is Maya. It's eternally Brahman. And let's see what the very interesting part is the fact that I'm trying to link it to tomorrow's class, that this purport is coming to the point where they quote something I don't have access to. They quote Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura's commentaries. These commentaries are not accessible online. It's only devotees who were part of Gopi Paranadhana group. They had access to these commentaries. They were translated when they were doing the 11th canto. And Gopi Paranadhana had them, and they edited it, and they wanted to publish it. I just don't know if the Matsyavatara Prabhu did it. But they quote here, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura has pointed out that in the impersonal Brahman, there is neither transcendental activity nor the supreme pum-artha, or benefit of human life, namely prema, love of Godhead. Therefore, if one is prematurely dazzled by the expansion of the Lord's bodily effulgence known as Brahman, and therefore does not actually come to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of actually understanding one's eternal identity. So you will not know yourself as the eternal blissful expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you're dazzled by Brahman, you're not only dazzled by not being able to see the Lord, you're also dazzled by not being able to see yourself. The subject matter is summarized in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 1.3. And the last, and it's very much puzzling why they just brought up the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 1.3 in the end of 7 pages of purport, and they gave Sanskrit, Ya Tadvaitam Brahman Panishat Tam Asya Asya Tanubha, but they didn't give the translation. I will give you the translation. What the Upanishad describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord known as Superson, is but his localized plenary portion. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full of 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. He is not an avatar. He is not a great soul that came to say. He is the Parabrahman himself. Just like somebody may say, oh, he's a combination of Radha and Krishna. Strictly speaking, he is not a combination of Radha and Krishna. He is Supreme Brahman who came in the mood of his personal Hladini potency. Radharani is not an expansion of Hladini potency. She is the Hladini potency. She is the same person. Everything expands from her. She is the source of all the Hladinis and all the little expansions of. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. How he is combined with Radharani in the mood is described. I think it's going to be described tomorrow. I think it's going to be. And I will pray to hear it. Thank you very much. Any questions or answers? Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one. Are you sure it's working? And I'm so grateful for you for listening to this. It's a complex verse. Can you imagine if I read for 35 minutes the whole purport? It's going to be difficult. So if you want, I can dictate it for you and send it to you by email.
Just because now we were talking about Lord Chaitanya
Yes.
in the mood of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam.
Yes.
So then we also learned that Gadadhar Pandit
Yes.
is the manifestation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, is Śrīmati Radharani. Right?
That's a tricky one. Can I tell you a personal story about it? I was thinking about it for so long time, and it was 1994 or 95, yes. I was there. I was in Mayapur, and my spiritual master came, and then I wrote to him a letter about it, actually asking the same question. Yeah, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the mood of Radharani, and then Gadadhar Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit is expansion of Radharani. How is that? And then he said, okay, if you want to know, he wrote back to me and said that there is a nice book by Satyaraj about Panchatattva, and you can look it up there. So I did. I looked at it up there, and I read the whole thing. And he said, yes, in the same time, he is, expansion of Radharani, and this is what described in Gaur Ganesh Deepika, but it's not, he didn't. So it was a scientific presentation. I didn't get the answer to this question. And then a personal story continues. I was drawing Panchatattva for the altar in Mayapur, the big ones. We did already small ones. We did models of the small ones. But when I was drawing the big one, I drew it in different mudras. So each of, Advaita, he has this jnana mudra and some other mudras. And I drew Gadadhar in the mudra of Radharani, with, like you have here, offering a betel nut to Krishna. And he is standing right there on the plate in Panchatattva. He's standing same place where Radharani is standing, right? And then they took this, drawings, they copied them, sent them to Mayapur, and then devotees came back from Mayapur. We were in London, and then they said to Jananivas Prabhu and Patkanjangi, they corrected it and said, no, we don't worship Gadadhar as Radharani herself. He said, the other Gauḍīya Vaiṣṇavas do, but we don't. So he has to be with hands up as in Sankirtan. So, yeah, you can expand it a little further and say that's those, there is another branch of Bhaktivinoda Thakura's followers who do worship Gaur Gadai, and they will be using some esoterics to worship them as Radha and Krishna, but we don't, because we're following Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So I don't know how far it explains this point. And basically he is, but we don't worship him this way. Maybe that explains something to you. Something. No final answer from me, sorry. Yes, Prabhu.
It's very academic. So it is mentioned that Vedanta Pandit is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, but because Lord Chaitanya also Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, he took all the ecstasies and all the emotions, external emotions, he took that for it. So therefore Vedanta was with being Radharani, but without all this.
Radhabath, yeah.
All these emotions. So therefore we see Vedanta as very humble, very modest, very inwards. So it's actually Radharani, but all the step of ecstasy were already taken by
Expert option.
It's like in there, Radha, Śrī Kṛṣṇa was like the aesthetic Radha, full of separation. Vedanta has more of the subdued emotion.
Yeah, and it's connected to the subtle things which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was very explicitly against. It's Gauranga Nagari tradition, which assumes that you can practice towards Lord Chaitanya, you can practice moods of higher rasas. Now, Gauranga Nagaris actually practice it and meditate in this way, and they have some sadhana connected to this. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said in one place that there is no Shastric prohibition of that, but by logic, by inference, you can say that it is not pleasing to the Lord. It's like, so that's, esoteric. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Gadadhar Pandit, he came to assist Lord Chaitanya because he is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. He would understand that Lord Chaitanya wouldn't be able to manage all these emotions of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So he's there to assist Lord Chaitanya in managing the emotions. And I don't know, I heard it once in the class and I forgot to ask which scripture it was coming from. But then Srimati Radhadesh was prayed to take birth as in a male body, because in her female body, she could never really concentrate on Krishna fully. She had to keep one eye on her in-laws, one eye on guṇas. She could never be with Krishna fully. So she wanted to actually take birth in a male body so she could just fully concentrate.
I don't know, you are fully concentrated on Krishna, why she can. Well, yes, I heard this, but it's, I just wanted to say, this was the lecture on jnana-yoga. It's a jnana-yoga lecture. And we went to the extreme left of esoterics. Yes, I did. Thank you so much for sweetening it up. Yes, he was preaching, not what is read here in the Bhagavatam, but he would preach Vaisheshika Advaita, meaning he would not describe immanence of Brahman for the purposes of describing deity worship or sacrifice or something like that. He would describe Brahman for the sake of Brahman, without reference to bhakti. So the lectures of Advaita Acharya didn't end up with ecstatic, esoteric discussions like we have. They ended up with, people sitting there in a very still way and just like turning their eyes inside and just like, So that made Lord Chaitanya very angry. He came all the way from Navadvip. Apparently it's actually far away. It used to be like 30 minutes drive to get to Shantipur. So he went all the way to Shantipur and he chastised him, and it was part of the Leela to attract the Lord's attention by Lord Advaita Acharya. And him being Advaita Acharya doesn't mean that he is Advaitin. It's not, just the opposite. But he knows the Advaita philosophy. We also should know. We should know the Advaita philosophy because sometimes we may do things or say things which are not according to our Siddhanta. It will be the Mayavadi Siddhanta. And that's displeasing to the Lord. So we should know that. We should know the Advaita. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, that's an interesting point. He wrote a list of books that can be kept in the Vaishnava library, and he put there Shankaracharya's Bhashya. He wrote there Vedanta Sutra Bhashya by Shankaracharya. He said he should be there, but then he put in brackets, or I don't know if brackets or just put a note saying that not his disciples, not Mayavadis who are commenting on it, not their commentaries, but his original can be kept. You have to know that. So that's just my answer to that. I'm trying to. I know I'm not supposed to talk about Brahman whole lecture. It's just that happens. So sorry. Yeah.
So is Jnana cannot be applied. Like Bhakti cannot. Jnana cannot be applied if there is no Bhakti. So then the transformation of Jnana cannot actually exist without Bhakti.
Yes. Yeah, Bhakti is the foundation of all the things. Yeah, it's if you have jnana without bhakti, then it means jnana without fruit, because there will be no result. And even if it's a jnana, even if it's Advaita jnana, but there is element of bhakti in there. It will be like a putana attaining the salvation. You can get there. You can get there, like putana. That you can deny the existence of Lord, and then you worship His form, and the Lord will accept it. He'll say, "Okay, you can come here, no problem." It's amazing. He gives liberation even to demons, even to those who deny His existence. That's the amazing thing about the Lord. Thank you so much. Oh boy, it's already 9. Yes, jnana bhakti. This is the bhakti which was in detail described in the previous canto. And the example of this jnana is 7th and 8th chapter of Bhagavatam. In the 7th chapter, Mother Yashoda looks in the mouth of Krishna. She sees the whole universe. She attains full jnana. And she says, "Close the mouth, go." Next time, next chapter, 8th chapter, again. She looks in the mouth and she says, "I want to see the earth." She sees the earth and all the other planets. And then she closes the mouth. And the ācāryas explain that this was a test of real bhakti. Because if there's a full jnana in her mind, and immediately it's gone in a second. She's not distracted by that. Just like Nikunja Vasini Mataji. I was talking a whole lecture about Brahman. And she went and she described the most nectarian part of our worship. So this is the symptom of jnana bhakti. The bhakti, they describe it, that jnana is there, like in a sweet. When you make a ladu, you add a little bit of salt. When you make sandesh, you add salt? No. But when you make ladu, you can add a little bit of black salt, just very little. The salt, or they add it to the forbidden fruit of chocolate. They add salt, and it increases the sweetness. So jnana, in a jnana bhakti, if you add jnana, it makes bhakti even sweeter. So that's the secret of jnana. And this actually the secret of jnana in Bhagavatam, that makes the leelas of the Lord sweeter, and our perception of His leelas sweeter. Yes, Prabhu.
Just to conclude with Jnana.
Yes.